Hello and welcome to another episode with me, Miss B. In this segment, I speak to Sarah Boateng, the founder of IGEA Enterprise, which stands for Investing in Girls' Education in Africa. IGEA is a not-for-profit organisation with a mission to deliver quality education to girls in rural parts of Africa. Sarah has started in Ghana and is working to tackle period poverty in Bolgatanga in the north of the country, where some girls and young women do not have access to period pads for their monthly cycles, and as a result end up dropping out of school. Sarah talks to us about this enterprise, the alternative solution she is providing to girls in the area, and what inspired her mission. I hope you will enjoy. So thanks for coming and talking to us today. Really excited to learn more about what you're doing. So introduce yourself. Tell us more about you.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. I'm 25. I'm grown up in Southeast London, but my parents migrated here from Ghana in the 80s. So I'm originally Ghanaian.
So tell us why you're here to talk to us today.
So I'm here to talk about my organisation called IGEA Enterprise and to share what we do.
Okay, so what does IGEA stand for?
So it stands for Investing in Girls' Education in Africa.
Okay, and exactly where and what area are you investing in?
So at the moment we're focusing in Ghana, but we're investing in Bolgatanga in northern Ghana.
Okay, so how far away is that from Tamale?
From Tamale, that's about a 3-hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the communities we work in from Bolgatanga are like an 1.5-hour drive. So we're proper rural.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why that area?
So originally, why I chose that is because my project manager who I work with, called Rosamond, he actually lives and knows Bolgatanga a lot. So we wanted to start somewhere where we both have like a common ground and we could do community entry, so we could find it easier to talk with the community and engage them in our project. And we could also do quite an easier monitor and evaluation because he could be able to access it easier compared to if it was somewhere else in northern Ghana.
Okay. So one of the main reasons is he's from that area.
So one of the main reasons that we was so for logistics, because he's from there, he can get there easier, and he has family there, and he knows the local language that they speak in Bogatanga,
which is
Dagare.
Okay.
So it would be easier for him to communicate with them as well, and then us finding a translator outside. Yeah.
Okay. But is that area also particularly vulnerable?
Yeah, so when we were doing our focus research before to see about how the impact of period poverty is in Bolgatanga, we found that 80% of girls from the ages of 11 to 16 had never used an effective period resource. So it is really high out there, especially in the rural communities, that girls have not used something effective for their period. So they've used something like cloth. Cloth is the common commodity used to maintain periods, which is very unsafe for your vaginal health and just for you to be able to be fertile as well.
Okay, so they're using bits of cloth that rags.
Yeah, exactly. So some old cloth that they don't use anymore. So that's what they're using to be able to maintain a period, which is not safe. And it's, cloth is really it's not very absorbent as well. It probably can absorb some sweat, but as for period blood, which is quite heavy, it won't be able to absorb that.
Oh, and what's the impact for these girls then? Are they not going to school as a result?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the reasons why we started IGEA and the program that I've designed under that is called Menstruate and Educate. So it's for girls to be able to have the freedom to be on their period and still attend school. Okay. Because we found that girls were missing on average 30 days out of an academic year out of school compared to boys that are missing 5 to 8 days out of an academic year. So it was something that was, is really bad and impacting their education. And a lot of them, they find it hard to catch up because when you miss out school 5 days every single month, you find it quite difficult to be able to catch up. And the teachers there, they don't really have the time, they're quite overworked to be able to sit down with the female students and say, okay, you've missed out a whole week of school, this is what I can help you with. It was really difficult. So a lot of them had to leave school, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So what are they doing if they're not at school?
So most of them have become traders, like local traders. So that's kind of a little bit of a backstory about IGEA. One thing that I was inspired by is by my mum. So she grew up in rural Ghana and she left school at the age of 12 and sold oranges in Kumasi. Yeah, she sold oranges on the side of the road because she had to leave school early as she didn't have anything to use for her period. Like my grandma couldn't afford it. You know, my grandma had like 7 kids and they just couldn't afford it. So she was the oldest daughter. So she had to help my mum.
So that's actually the inspiration for...
So that's one of like the main inspirations is because, for example, like when I go to the community and I see these girls, they're just like my mum. Like I can just picture my mum in all of these girls. So I think it just makes my heart pour out even more. I want to work harder.
I'm interested, and I don't know if you can explain to our listeners and also myself. You have mothers and grandmothers who've also had periods. Would they not have developed an effective way of dealing with it, you know, prior to these girls who are teenagers having to deal with it today?
That is a really good question. And I think what I understand is that cloth has been the common commodity that has been used for periods. And even though it has been something that they've been able to adapt to and they've been able to make it work, primarily it's something that is not long-term sustainable because they've been like, okay, I'm using this cloth. After a certain while, it's uncomfortable. I can get an infection. It can make me infertile. So why don't I just go work, make the money to be able to afford actual period pads to use? So it's something that is like, okay, a short-term strategy. Okay, this is working. Because on average, people maybe start their period between maybe like 10 to 13.
Yeah.
So you got like 3 years that you're using this cloth. And then after a while, you're like, okay, this is actually really not working. It's not sustainable for me. I need to earn money.
Okay. So tell us what IGEA does. Enterprise.
Okay. So what we do at IGEA, we're all about advocating for the investment into the quality education of girls in rural communities within Africa. So primarily we look at how can we design programs to support girls in rural communities have access to a quality education. And primarily what we're focusing on is period poverty. So we notice that, you know, and doing research, a lot of girls are leaving school and are, you know, for example, getting early pregnancy and having to have really dangerous abortions. And this was due to mainly having, you know, a lack of access to effective period products. So we're all about investing in providing them with period products for them to be able to reach their full potential in education.
Okay. So talk to us about the actual product.
So we use reusable period pads. So these are made out of bamboo cotton fleece and they have a water absorbent layer. And they're also sprayed with antimicrobials to make them safe to use for up to 2 years. So these products are currently sourced from another project that's working in India. So they've been doing this for about 4 years. They've supported over 100,000 girls in India. And I got introduced to them when I was just starting IGEA, that, okay, this project in India is doing something similar. Would you like to work with them? So we decided to partner with them and work with them. So when we raise money to be able to buy the pads, we're actually supporting girls in Ghana and supporting girls in India as well.
Oh, wow. So is that because they make... I mean, is there any manufacture involved that involves the ladies?
So I think in how they make it within India, they have a factory out there.
Okay.
So they've been able to build a factory and support women to be able to learn how to make these pads as well.
Okay. I mean, do you see that happening in Ghana as well?
So that is one of the things I would potentially like to happen. I think there's a lot of research that goes into it. And I think a lot of what I think about with doing that is sustainability.
Yeah.
And to make sure that the women in the community are interested in doing something like that. Because creating pads that are high standard is a lot of work. So it would have to look at, okay, what could be our retainer for women to actually want to engage in this other than, you know, getting money? What licenses would we have to get? We have to build a factory. How are we going to get the materials? How are we going to get the chemicals to make sure they're safe? So there is, at first, that's something I definitely wanted to do when I started IGEA, looking into it, before I partnered with those in India. But I said, okay, if I take time to look at building that, the years it's going to take me, you know, we could have supported, you know, over 1,000 girls or over like 2,000 girls by that time.
Yeah.
So if I partner with someone now and we're having like a global effect, that could be stronger now. And then I can look at planning and building our own factory to produce it if it's suitable.
Yeah. I'm quite interested in what you said about the use of bamboo, because bamboo we know is a really hardy product anyway, and I think it's 5 times as strong as steel. Yeah, and I know that it's used to make bikes, the bike frames.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how it's used. You said bamboo fleece.
Yeah, so they are able, how they do it in India, they're able to produce the bamboo to manufacture it to become a cotton fleece. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see the whole process just yet, but I know that's something that they do from there to be able to manufacture it into cotton.
So what is the bamboo, does that make it absorbent? Like, what is the property of it?
So the bamboo helps to make it absorbent and helps to keep the longevity of the product as well, and keeping it safe as well, to maintain the antimicrobials that it's sprayed with, to keep it safe for up to 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the antimicrobials, is that on normal pads that we use?
Yeah.
So it's not a different...
No, so it's not a different source. It's something that's already used. So the organisation that I purchased the pads from, they're certified by the International Sanitary Organisation. So it's the same organisation that approve always pads and body form pads as well. So they're really made at a high standard to make sure that they're safe.
So if you're a young girl in Bolgatanga, how many of these reusable pads do you need to... sort of be all right for a bit?
That's a really good question. So at the moment, what we've started with is giving them 3.
Okay.
So you've got 2 day ones and 1 night one that it comes with. So they have 3 and they all last for up to 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the all night one is, I guess, thicker?
Yeah, it's thicker and it's longer. So it's a long one. And then you have the other 2, which are pink ones that are a bit shorter, but they're still really thick.
So what has been the feedback from the young women? Like, when did you start actually handing them out?
So this actually started in October 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've come quite like a long way, and it's amazing to see. It took a lot of planning to do as well.
Yeah.
So it's great to see how it's been able to kind of come around. But the feedback we got was so positive. It's been really incredible, especially from the girls and from the teachers. So what we planned when we started in October is that we'll look at doing an evaluation in January.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we spoke to the teachers at the time. So the teachers said that their girls' attendance had improved by at least 30%. So that's really positive in just the past, 3 months. And then we were going to have a proper evaluation in 6 months. So that was going to be the end of March, beginning of April. But then sadly, we're in a pandemic. So unfortunately, that couldn't happen. Yeah. And all the girls, sadly, they just don't live as close to each other or to the school or to the teachers for us to be able to monitor it as much as we want. But we've had really good feedback. We just can't wait, for them to go back to school and just sort of still see how it's going for them and get that real feedback.
So how does this plug into like the national policy in Ghana, in terms of encouraging more girls who are in rural areas to go to school? Because it's an SDG goal anyway, isn't it? Yeah,
so quality education is that's SDG 4. So last year, actually, the Ghanaian government on World Menstrual Health Day did put out, a statement saying they can see it's a priority about menstruation and they really want to support girls doing that, which is incredible. But mainly I've seen a lot of support from girls in the south, like in Kumasi and Accra. There's, a lot of work being done and there's so much support in the education system there, which is amazing. And that kind of ties into one of the reasons why I started IGEA, is because when I first lived in Ghana in 2016, and I lived in a village in somewhere called Sigiri. A lot of people don't know it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I lived there for about 4 months and I worked on an education program out there. And I just see the potential of the girls in the north. And I just feel like, because it's so far as well, mainly the charities where you see is like, you see World Vision or you see China Aid, US Aid. And I don't really see any grassroots, projects really wanting to just empower the girls at just a local level. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I started. Yeah, so I haven't necessarily seen how government has plugged in the north. I've seen them start to establish things in the south and wanting to work in providing disposable period products. But, the long-term sustain of that is something that I guess we'll have to see in the future, but I haven't seen anything at the moment with girls in the north.
Okay, but the projects that you are aware of are disposable sanitary pads as opposed to reusable ones, which is what you're focusing on.
Yeah, exactly. So from what I've seen since when we started, we were the only organisation doing reusable in the north. I'm not sure how it's doing now. I know there was quite a few going on in the south. So in Accra, Kumasi.
So what do you know about what they're doing in the south, and how different it is to yours? Because if they are doing it there, is there a way to collaborate or?
So from what I know is that their projects have recently started. So it's not something that I'm aware of that's been going on for long.
Yeah.
So there could be a potential way to collaborate. I think just with us at the moment, our mission and our focus is in girls in rural communities in the north, and I think we're really big on wanting to prioritize that now. Because of course, you know, I'm originally from Kumasi, I'm from a place called Swami, so I would love to be able to support, you know, the girls there. But the north, I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and we really want to be able to focus on one area, grow that, and then move on to the next one.
So how many girls have you targeted or been able to support?
So far in our pilot, we've been able to support 100, but now we've just been able to, you know, raise enough to be able to support 700 next year.
Brilliant.
So we're going to be working in 7 new communities spread across Bolgatanga. So I think by the time we finish that project, from my understanding, we're going to have actually completed the whole western side of Bolgatanga, which is really exciting. And then we can hopefully move on to the next and the next.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested to know, when you said in 2016 you lived in a village in Ghana, what was that? You talked about you were working with an organisation, so tell us more.
So I was working with a UK organisation. So I was working out there with them on education, as an educational specialist. So I did my master's in special educational needs and psychology, but looking at it from more of like a psychological perspective, and also looking at special educational needs in Africa. So that's one of the reasons why I went out there. And because I'm from Ghana as well, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And I finished my master's when I was 21. So I was like, in order for me to know where I'm going, I feel like I need to know where I'm coming from. So that was a big reason for me going there and staying there so long.
Okay, and tell us about that experience if you were living in a village.
It was amazing, but at first, like the first 3 weeks, I absolutely hated it. Like, I wanted to come home. I was like, there's bugs everywhere. I was like, there's flies everywhere. I can't do this. There's bats, there's snakes.
There's bats?
Yeah, there's bats. Oh my gosh, sometimes we have bats like on our ceiling. Once we had a snake in our house. It was literally, and they were like, oh, you know, sometimes snakes come in here to say hi to you. And we're like, we're good. So we got a snake coming to say hi, which was mental. But I think for me, it was the most life-changing thing that I ever did. And I think I would nowhere be where I am now, be where I am with IGEA if I didn't do that. Because I think one of the things I would say, it's really important with anyone that wants to do any kind of, you know, charitable project or an NGO, you need to understand the community you're working with. You can never go in there being like somebody that's, oh, you grew up in London, but I'm Ghanaian and I think they need this because they do it in London. Let me go there and do it. Because you can see, if you see the statistics, like 80% of those projects actually end up failing within the first 3 years because it's not sustainable. You don't understand the community and the community is not engaged.
Okay. That is really, really interesting. I'm interested to know what your mum thinks of it, because obviously it was inspired by her life. So what does she think?
She thinks IGEA is her baby. She's literally like, oh my gosh, she wants to be the director of IGEA. She wants to do, like, she's incredible. Honestly, my mum is just amazing. She just loves it. She loves everything it stands for, and she's so passionate about it, passionate about talking about it. So she absolutely loves it, and she can't imagine, like, when I first told her about IGEA, well, a little bit of a backstory. So when I finished volunteering in Ghana, I then ended up getting an internship with the UN in Geneva. So I was doing that for about 8 months, and I absolutely loved it, but I couldn't find a job there that I was like, was me. So I knew that I'm passionate about girls' education. I knew that I'm passionate about rural communities, but I just didn't know how to combine the two. And I felt like there wasn't a job where I could see that. So that's kind of how IGEA kind of developed as well. So she was a bit worried because she was like, you don't really have like, it's not paying you, you don't really have like a job or anything. But I was like, you know what? I've always been told one thing is that when you're working in your passion and your purpose, money will come. And I can tell anyone listening like that, I'm evident to that. Like the money that we've just been blessed with to be able to do the project, like it wouldn't have, like, it's just insane. I never could have imagined it. So you've just got to like follow what you're passionate about. Obviously be wise about it and have wise counsel, but just follow what you're passionate about and money will come. Like it will.
Well, that's actually some good advice to the listeners as well. Because I was going to ask you, if anybody is interested in doing what you're doing, how would you sort of encourage them. I think you've covered that.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is just start where you are. Don't think about you need to do 1 million or like loads of or 1,000 girls or boys or whoever you want to, communities you want to support. At first, like I wanted to do loads. I was like, I'm going to do 1,000, you know, and I only had money at the time for 40. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's the impact. It's like, what are the hard numbers? Because even if you just help one person, that's one person and one generation's life changed, you know? So it's so much about thinking about the bigger picture and streamlining as well that I think really helps.
Just out of interest, you know, the education that you provide to the girls, is it also the boys as well?
So,
when it's sexual health?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when the workshops that we provide at the moment, so we provide community workshops, which are for community leaders and families and mothers and fathers. So that's where we have males involved as well, speaking to them about menstruation and the impact the cultural taboos have on the education of the girls there. At the moment, when we're doing the menstruation workshops, we did it for just the girls because we were teaching them how to use the pads in that same workshop as well. But primarily, we would like to develop something with the teachers in the school, which we were in talks with before I left Ghana in October, about how we can actually put this into like the curriculum or a little like side class of being able to teach about sexual and reproductive health and rights. Sexual rights is really important. So they both know as boys and girls, you know, okay, how do you have full autonomy over your body, what that looks like, what consent looks like, and to protect yourself in sex as well.
And that's interesting because I know that government is looking to do some work in educating. Yeah, well, I think at school level, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's at an early stage now, but there's already been some backlash, hasn't there?
Oh my gosh, I was in Ghana when that was happening, so I was literally following the news like every single day, like what's happening, and it just was an uproar. It was a massive uproar, and I think they pulled it back because they were like, okay, all the ministers, like nobody wants it. And I was listening to a TV station which was talking about how, you know, there is a need for it, because I think there is a need, because there's certain things that, you know, females and males need to know about what's appropriate to where to be touched on their body. And if they don't know the proper names of it or anything, anybody could take advantage of that. And I think it's really important just for like that mental health, and just to see, you know, our people in Ghana develop as well, you know, to be educated in sexual health and sexual rights and consent. I think it's really important.
Okay, brilliant. So I know that COVID has stopped a lot of things, and once we're able to move freely, you'll be going back to Ghana, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
I guess what we want to know is how we can help you, how, you know, the readers, you know, what would you like for us to do?
That's such a good question. That's a golden question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think one thing we would like is just for everyone to just spread the awareness and educate yourself, which is really important, just, you know, on sexual and reproductive health and rights. And the more we speak about it and the more we normalize the topic, the more that we can kind of take out all the nooks and crannies of like the hidden agendas behind it and the negative agendas that people do have to prey on vulnerable people, which I think is really important as well. And just to help us spread the word out about us, you know, you can find us at www.IGEA Enterprise, so that's IGEA.org, you know, and we would love, you know, to work with anyone or to part with anyone to be able to support as many girls and boys as we can, because we really want to see, you know, Ghana and every Ghana uprise. You know, they say that the World Health Organization in 2018 actually released a study that said a country will lose in its lifetime $15 to $30 trillion in production and earnings for girls being uneducated after the age of 12. So it shows you the impact it has, and it's like, we want Ghana to grow. Ghana is already doing amazing things with like the Year of Return, and we want to see that progression. But one thing we need to prioritize is girls and women's education, and them being put ahead, because they are really going to be, you know, the pioneers of making Ghana, you know, what it is.
And what about us donating?
Yeah, so on our website, you can also see ways to donate. The period pad kits, they cost £10 per girl. So we're happy to have, you know, donations and partnerships, of course.
Okay. And like you said, one well, I think you give 3 period pads for one girl.
Yeah, so they come in a pack of 3, exactly. So it's 3 for the £10.
Okay.
Yeah, and it comes with a cotton bag that they can use for school, or for anything else, and also 2 pairs of underwear, so they can use that as well. Because some girls may not have access to the underwear to use the pad, so we give them 2 starter underwears as well. Makes sense.
So just explain to us how it looks, this pad and the knickers.
Yeah, sure. So it comes with 3 reusable pads. So that's 2 day ones and 1 night one. It comes with 2 pieces of black underwear that the girls can use with their pads. And also it comes with an IGEA cotton tote bag. So the bags that the girls can use for school or for shopping or anything else they wish to.
Okay. So, for us ladies in the West, when we're using our pads, we've got that sticky bottom and then we've got the wings. So explain to us how this differs.
Yeah, so you still have the wings, but there's a button at the back. So you'll put it in your underwear and then you clip it at a button at the back, and then that's how it stays on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on social media?
Yeah, so we are. So you can find our website at www.IGEAenterprise.org. Also, we're on Instagram and we're on Twitter at IGEA Enterprise.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. The music you've been listening to comes from the Golden Stool Project, and you can follow them on the Golden Stool Project on Instagram and on Twitter. If you would like to hear more like this, please subscribe and follow us on our handles. Miss B on Twitter, that's MISBEEE, and Miss B Writes on Instagram. Or read more about our community news on www.msbwrites.co.uk. That's msbwrites.co.uk. Thank you.